Joining me now is Emily Barley, who sadly lost her baby Beatrice in May 2022. I know Barnsley Hospital have apologised for failures. But Emily, tell us what happened.
Yeah, I think often when a baby dies, people have an impression as though it's a chaotic environment and something terrible happens all at once, and maybe staff that are overworked and, make human mistakes. That's not what happened to us. What happened to us is that I was ignored for hours, hour after hour after hour. I was dismissed as though I was being a dramatic first-time mum. When I was raising concerns because my labour wasn't normal, midwives were rolling their eyes, shrugging their shoulders, turning away, just not listening, which meant that some really, really important red flags were missed. And then as my labour went on, monitoring of Beatrice's heart showed that she was struggling, and then it showed that she was dying, and nobody did anything about it. It was as though they were fixed in this opinion that everything was fine and I was just being dramatic, even when the evidence was showing it really wasn't okay. And in the end, that meant that when we should have been rushed to theatre for an emergency caesarean, instead, that didn't happen, and I had 3 midwives and 2 doctors in the room, standing around doing nothing. Just a few minutes before they found that Beatrice had died, the consultant obstetrician was laughing.
I guess going through that, you must have felt helpless.
Yeah. I mean, being in labour and having a baby is such a vulnerable time anyway. And to be asking for help and not getting any, and nobody listening. I had my mum with me there as my birthing partner. She was brilliant. She was not just asking, she was telling, demanding, shouting in the end. And just being ignored. You really are just in their hands, and there's nothing that you can do.
Emily, what do you want to happen now? I know you've got a campaign going. What's your end goal?
So I've joined together with a load of other bereaved families from all over the country, because my case is what happened to me and Beatrice is far from unique. It's happening everywhere, all around the country. So we've joined together to call for a statutory national public inquiry to really understand not just why this is happening, but why it keeps on happening after all the local investigations and all the national schemes and everything else that's been tried. It's just not working. And now, pretty much every day of the year, a baby dies because of negligence in the NHS.
And when you're going through that difficult labour and you're making these observations, these complaints, why don't they listen to you, Emily? Do they know better?
I think part of it is that they do think they know better, but there's a real culture of complacency, a culture of not listening to mums. I think as well a culture of not really caring, and that's not just among clinicians, that's all the way up the chain through the NHS, chief executives of hospitals, people at NHS England, people at CQC. They kind of tolerate this. They think it's normal, like babies just die sometimes, and they don't.
But let's be clear, I mean, most people that work within the NHS are good, decent, hard-working people. They save lots of lives every day, and we never see the headlines that Kingsmore Hospital saves a life. But when we hear the tragic, heartbreaking stories like this, it brings it home, because I'm actually dealing with a case not too dissimilar to this in my constituency, where I think negligence has cost a couple of parents their baby's life. And this is critical, really, because for pregnant women, for new mothers, for new fathers, this is where life starts. And I think sometimes maybe that the maternity department at hospitals, because they see that many babies being born, it can be like a production line, can't it? And they should have picked those signs up, surely.
Yeah, I think they do often treat labour as though it's normal, there's nothing to see here, no problem. But it's actually, being born is one of the most dangerous, riskiest times of anybody's life. And in the past, before modern medicine, loads more babies died. And we shouldn't be expecting babies to die now, we should be expecting them to live. But instead, there is this culture of complacency, there's a culture of not listening. And it doesn't just result in deaths of babies. Every year, hundreds more babies are brain damaged because of negligence. Mums suffer horrible physical injuries. And I think actually a lot of mums, when you speak to them, they might have come through labour and birth relatively okay and their baby's okay, but they didn't have a good experience and they weren't treated well.
So this campaign that you've got going at the moment, how do people get involved with that campaign?
We're called the Maternity Safety Alliance. Find us online. You can help us by pledging your support, writing to your MP.
Have you wrote to your MP?
Yes.
Are you getting plenty of support?
I am from my MP.
Okay, that's good news.
We've written to the government as well, and so far we've been ignored. Coming up on 2 months now and not a single response.
Okay, so I guess what you need to do is call your MP again, even write to me. I can take that up for you as well, even though you're not my constituent, I'll definitely do that for you. So if you've got one final message for the, I'm not having a go at the staff at the NHS because they're brilliant, but the actual managers, the trust managers, the directors, the people on these huge salaries, what would your message be to them?
You need to get a grip of this. Babies dying is not normal, it's not okay, and you can't just keep on accepting it.